And
Andalusia, that's true.
and come the West, and the West believe in one thing, in divide and rule, and divide people. And once they divide people, they get what they want. They get people to fight, people buy arms, NGOs make money, the media make money, and who wins? The people there lose. On both sides, everyone loses. Who wins? Bibi Netanyahu, the British government, Mohammed Abbas, Islam Hamania, Hamas, Fatah, the media wins, the NGO wins. They say all these charities and all these organizations that open up. They open up beginning when they come to serve a cause, and then the cause serves them, and they start funneling money in and out, and all the people on these organizations start making money. And instead of telling people, let's understand each other, let's work with each other. There's so much where we would agree if we would let the British, the Americans, the United Nations, if you let all these people who want to interfere and who have lived and conquered the world and were colonialists all over the world, and the way they controlled it is by dividing people, that would come to an end. If people would just, as we say in our two languages, Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Assalam, Salam Aleichem, Aleichem Assalam. Let's be peace on all.
It's not just, it's good to obviously talk and to have a conversation, but these powers which you talked about, they are the ones, without putting pressure on them, yes, we will just be ending up talking to each other, and the solution would never come. My point here, the point I want to make is that every time when you see injustice, yes, regardless is whether it's from the Jews, the Arabs, from the non-Arabs, non-Jews, the question is, when you see an injustice, how many are prepared to stop that injustice, to speak out against injustice?
And I'll tell you, the first problem is, you see all these cameras and these microphones, we don't preach to the outside world, we have to preach to each other. Leave the YouTube and Telegram and Instagram and Twitter, we have to leave that all aside and just talk like Hashim. How do you say Hashim in Arabic?
Ikhwa.
Ikhwa.
Yeah,
like brother.
Why can't you do both?
Why can't you do both? Because what happens is when you got the media, then it becomes high.
No, but this is not the mainstream media, my friend.
No, even
can I say something?
I'll tell you why. The second it's recorded, then you don't just talk to each other, you talk to others outside. The main point you have to try and do first.
I came to talk to you when you greeted me. I came to talk to you, nothing, and then people they just clicked, as you say.
Yeah, look at this. All the dust has come through.
No, we need to acknowledge one thing. This is the reason people come to Speaker's Corner.
You know the issue is. There is the best thing if we have a dialogue, and we need to emphasize about where the mistake is and where the wrong is. And without media, yes, it's, as they say, it's two-edged sword. It has negative, it has positive. One of the things that we wanted to show generally when we generally criticize, for example, the state of let's not say the state, basically the Zionist place, which is they try to establish in Palestine. The point is, when we criticize them, that people they think we are against the Jews, and actually there are many Jews who are fair, and they don't accept what's going on there. They don't accept the injustice that's happening. They don't accept the injustice and the apartheid state that Israel is doing.
I'll put it on a bit on a different way. That means we get far further when we understand each other's whole mindset and concept, and understand the other side, where they come from, what are their needs and aspirations, and then you hear the other side, what is their aspirations and their needs, where the problem for each side is lying, and understanding, first of all, not just the what, but the why. And then we can start moving forward in the most beautiful way and break bread together, they say in many countries.
What I want to know, let's say you talked, you poured your heart out, you explained to your friend everything. What next?
What next?
Yes.
I believe in grassroots. I don't believe politicians can bring change. I believe only the grassroots can bring change.
No, what will the grassroots do?
Because I'll put it that way. Put it that way. The people on the top, they love the current system. The people on top love the current system. It serves everyone on the top what's going on now.
No, but I want to know from you, what should the grassroots do?
The grassroots should start opening communication and once they start building a group, building a momentum around an idea that people could come together, then I believe it will grow and snowball into something beautiful and something bigger.
Which is exactly what we do on social media, my friend.
But I said
Thank
you very much.
I said the problem many times in social media is
Yes.
that you don't interact with each other properly.
No, but we
it's just
can.
bringing one side to the outside world.
living in your own echo
It's
chamber.
living in your
Just
own
following
world.
Not
people that you
necessarily.
wanna follow.
No, my friend. Look,
Reading
let
what
me
you
ask you
wanna read.
something. Are you able to have a sincere talk while the camera is in front of you?
It's definitely compromised.
Definitely.
Because you know, when I
Everyone
talk
is
off camera,
compromised, yes.
trust me, I'm talking for myself, not for anybody else. When I talk off camera or on camera, my stance is the same. To seek justice.
You used to talk on camera about.
No, I'm telling you, we need to seek justice. Don't you believe that? So
Everyone agrees.
if every time, like the Shaikh was implying here, if every time we are critical of the garment, the Zionist garment is considered as anti-Semitic, then it's somehow trying to subvert the discussion, the dialogue.
No.
No one says they're all anti-Zionist.
No, I'm not saying.
Me
but-
myself, for example, you know,
Yeah.
there's even Orthodox Jews that oppose the state.
Yes, I know,
right?
I know.
I myself do, to an extent, oppose the state, the idea of a state, right?
Okay.
The
In
way
its
it
current
is in its
form.
current form,
Right.
right? I don't oppose the right of Jews over Israel, but I oppose the right of them maybe currently, right? So there are many different ways even the Jewish people look on the current state of Israel, right? But what you find is by the people opposing the state, the line between opposing the states of Israel and anti-Semitism is very blurred. Now, there are people that have the cause in front of their eyes and focus clearly and just compete or just opposed to the actual state, right? But when you see people chanting anti-Semitic slogans by Free Palestine protest, or when you see people marching down Jewish neighborhoods in support of Palestine, which Jewish neighborhoods in London have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on in Israel, right?
Yeah.
You see that people are generalizing all Jews and treating all Jews as if they are all part of the problem, which
Do you
has
think
border with
do you think the
anti-Semitism.
slogan "Free Palestine" is anti-Semitic?
I'll answer that question very bluntly. Depends what it means.
Okay. Free,
Okay.
And in my opinion, depends what it means. And for that we have
When
to
you
say-
hear it, let's say, when you hear it, what do you
mean?
let me answer that
Yeah,
question.
sure.
Let me start slowly.
Yeah, sure.
That means when you say the word Free Palestine,
Yeah.
for many people in the Palestinian community, it would mean autonomy, a free state, a free country of their own, living in their own borders. And that I would say is fine. Where I would say the word Free Palestine, for me, breaks that form of what I would call a Palestinian cause and the cause against what some people call the Israeli state, the Zionist state, is when this happens. That means is when the Jewish state, as they call it, back in 1948 when they created that state, after the state was created, you had part of the West Bank that was under Jordan, part of Gaza that was under Egyptian
Egypt.
control. At that point, you never had the Palestinians who lived in the West Bank or the Palestinians who lived in Gaza complain of occupation under Jordanian rule, under the Hashemite kingdom, and you never heard the Palestinians who lived in Gaza complain about the Egyptian rule. So what was their complaint? The complaint was of the shape of Israel at that state of form, and the flag they had is of the shape of Israel that existed at that time. After 1967, for example, the chant of Free Palestine for many people changed to a new shape. Once they took control of the West Bank, Judea and Shomron from the Jordanians, they occupied Gaza, as some would say. Then the shape of the Free Palestine cause is suddenly the shape of Israel again. So it's not that they complained that they have a state and they wanted, and this is our confined borders. The shape of Free Palestine changes according to the state of Israel, and what they claim is they want the entire state of Israel. The chant here is, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Okay.
So
now listen.
then that is where you change, where you go from a Palestinian cause to an anti-Semitic.
Okay, let me tell you something. Firstly, we need to clarify.
You're Jordanian, right?
I'm Jordanian.
Yeah, Jordania. How many Palestinians? What's the percent of Palestinians in Jordan?
Nearly 70%.
Nearly 70%. And that's part of the British mandate of Palestine was.
And not just British,
trans-
as well,
yeah, of the trans-
and Zionist as well, occupation, basically. Many of them,
Now,
before, I mean, many of them, they in 1948 and 1967, most of them, they fled to Jordan, they settled there. So the point is, it's not because of the British, it's because generally what happened the Zionist state, what they have done. Now the point is, when we say anti-Semitic, Arabs are Semitic, race at the end of the day. One second.
No, I know.
Yeah. So when you say anti-Semitic, it's a vague thing. It just wanted to say.
No, I didn't use
It's not
I don't mean it's
They try to. We Arabs, we're Semitic. We are
Semitism.
We are Semitic.
The slogan was anti-Semitism.
One second. Yeah. So let's clarify. So anti-Jews. That's the which we criticize here.
Let's go further.
Yeah.
What does the word Jew mean?
Okay, let's come back to the point. So going to the point. Now the Jews they lived in Palestine for ages. They lived with Arabs and Muslims for ages.
And they lived in Jewish Palestinians.
And they were called Jews Palestinians. There used to be Jews Yemenis. There used to be Jews in many places.
Yeah.
Egyptian Jews. They were all over the Arab world. They have no problem.
Sadly today no more.
They have no problem. They have no issues. They have their own synagogues. They have their own practices, and even they have their own input in the Arabic culture, in the Arab culture itself, and in the Islamic civilization. They have their own input. Some of them they became elite. They have their status and they have an influence. Yeah. So it happened. Yeah. So what? But the issue is when you bring, for example, when you wanted to make a state for the Jews only, yeah, and to occupy a land which people they live there, yeah, and claim a divine right. This is another issue. To claim a divine right. That's how the Zionists, and most of them they are atheists. Most of them they are not God believer. They are not technically Jews by faith. They are Jews by ethnicity. By ethnicity, not culture. By faith. So most of them they're atheists. They're communists. They are from different places. They came and they said it, and then they tried to delude many of the practicing Orthodox Jews, and they said this is a divine right. Yeah. God has promised this land for you, and that's what brought them there. So you see, it's a manipulation. It's a manipulation.
And put it further,
to the people.
But who made this? The British are the ones who in the end put people against each other. If you ask me, 2 states, 1 state, I believe in confederate state, a state where we all live together.
No, before 1917, there was 1 state, right?
Before 1917, it was.
Before 1917, there was Palestine. When the Jews came there, they thought that there was no people there. They were just occupying some barren land, and this was given to them by the British, and they assumed that this is something that is their right, as the Shaikh pointed out, from the divine book, from the Torah.
I'll pause you slowly. When you say 1917,
yeah, let me finish and let you speak. So what I'm saying is that we need to understand that first and foremost, the people who were living there, and that includes the Jewish people who already lived there, not the ones who came from Russia and Poland and from other Eastern European countries, from Russia and so on. I'm talking about the indigenous people who were living there. They had 1 state and they lived happily. So you still have in Jerusalem the Jewish quarter, the Christian quarter, and the Muslim quarter. And this is something that existed long before 1917. Yes. So what I'm trying to figure out here is that all these problems which is happening in Palestine since 1917 and since 1948, when it was declared as a state of Israel, that is where we need to go to. And also in 1967, when West Bank and Gaza were annexed, yes, and the people are building illegal settlements there. So unless we speak about all these things, we cannot just say.
I say we have to speak about everything,
yeah, exactly,
and not just in 1919. We have to go back all the way back.
And that's why I brought all the dates in.
That's what I was going
from 1970.
No, but I think you could go back even earlier, a few hundred years and a few thousand years.
Yeah.
But the main point is, as long as we talk and we discuss, then I believe there is a future for all of us.
I think what's important is that the people in power.
We all hope that. Yeah. We all hope that. None of us.
Let's go.
What's going on, brother?
Guys, let them speak. Come on. This is where we communicate. This is Speaker's Corner. There's no impulsion here. This is Speaker's Corner. We come here for a long time, and we speak here, and we know
each other.
Yeah, exactly. So let's all calm down because.
And as well, by the way, just to Allah mentioned in the Quran, some people of the book as well. Allah mentioned about the people of the book as well that they are trustworthy. Not all of them. Allah said they are not we don't deal with the people in the same way. We don't deal with someone who literally did this war crime.
I'm not comfortable now, so we'll continue different time. We'll
Okay,
continue
no
different
problem.
time.
Thanks a lot for
Sorry.
your
We'll go different time. But thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you, Shaikh. Have a good day.
See you next week.
See you. Take care of yourself.
All right,
So the point is, what we were saying, yeah,
Shaykh,
yeah.
come down in the side.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.
No, I want to speak to
1 second.
the Shaykh.
Let's summarize.
Wait a minute. You can
Let's need
give
to
these,
summarize here. Let's summarize here. We need to summarize to the brothers as well. Yeah.
I don't blame them.
So the point is, I'll summarize inshallah here. So we need to summarize, and then after that we'll discuss. Yeah. Just give me.
That's good. Sorry, guys.
No, we want to summarize to them a bit, and then we'll continue. So
Should we summarize on that?
let's finish it inshallah. So the point is, we as Muslims, we should not, part of our da'wah, by the way, and this is inshallah ta'ala for everyone. As Muslims, part of our da'wah, we have different ways in dealing with things. One of the da'wah ways is to try to bring people to Islam. And that's da'wah. That's one of the greatest form of da'wah. And another form of da'wah, raise awareness about Islam. And my brothers and sisters, inshallah, we sometimes our anger and our frustration and our emotions, it will take us from the principles of Islam and the justice. The principles of Islam is about the word of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's about the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. It's not about the nationalism. It's not about where our tribes and where our country is from. It's about Islam. It's about La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. That is the biggest aim. The second thing as well is part of our da'wah as well, to gain friends rather than to gain enemies. Now sometimes for example, that the Prophet ﷺ uncle, Abu Talib, the own uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, did not accept Islam. But what Abu Talib did, he defended Islam in a way not even many Muslims has done to defend Islam, like Abu Talib. But yet he died as a non-Muslim. But yet he defended Islam in the best form, in the best way. So that's why sometimes when you find even non-Muslims, that if they don't want to accept Islam, at least we should gain friends who are try to defend Islam with you, rather than to gain enemies, and rather than to have the enmity towards them. And the people who we were talking to, they were Jews, but yet they are not like other ones. They are in a way, they were a bit fair. They are against many of the things that's done in the occupied land of Palestine. They do a lot of, at least they stand, we know where they stand. So it is not good for us as Muslims to treat them in the same way. We should treat them according, if someone is fair and just, to treat them with fair and just. And if someone showing enmity to Islam, that we hate them for the sake of Allah. And that's the most thing what we should do, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair. That's kind of a summary for everyone. And inshallah with Hashim, Allah barak fikum. Let's finish.
Can we take these mics off?
Yeah.
There you go. And you can speak to them in private about your dream.
Yeah.
We don't want the world to know about your dream. Speak to them in private.
He saw everyone. Every messenger.
No, he came 3 hours ago and he was over there talking about Uncle Usman. And